It's time for the drive with Q on Sports Radio 102.9 FM The Game. Now, here's Q.
Good afternoon, everyone. 5 o'clock straight up on the East Coast. It is a Wednesday edition of the drive with Q as we try to get over to Hump. Rich Quinones here. As always, we'll take up to 6 o'clock straight up inside the friendly confines of the SR 1029 FM The Game Studios, part of Coastal Sports Network, and of course on the X platform, YouTube channels. 1029 FM The Game YouTube channel, which, oh, by the way, I had a little insight on the renaming of that. Thank you very much. And my YouTube channel, you can still put in Rich Q on Q as he's shaking his head already disheveled from a Tuesday to Wednesday. The incredible shrinking Hermano, Angel Martinez behind the glass producing the show, keeping us on the air. We are powered by our wonderful friends over at Play It Again Sports, fresh roasted coffee, and Zen Auto Concepts, #1 detailing shop in Stuart, Florida. 60 to play with. Do not forget 727-858-6650. That'll get you involved in two-way sports talk. Bring something to the table. You guys can text. You can call in. You can hit us up on X. You can hit us up on Facebook, on YouTube, as you guys are already doing, which you guys typically do at a phonetical rate. So a couple things on this Wednesday. We will definitely dive into the NFL Week 16, little peekaboo, little look-ahead lines, some injuries, some benchings of the quarterbacks that we talked a little bit about, and some coaches really under duress and fire. And I wanted to start, though, with, did anyone, and I'll ask you this right from the get-go, did anyone watch the NBA Cup? Did anyone actually flip on the channel and say to yourself, man, this is some good stuff. This is very appealing. I'm engaged, man. The NBA Cup, here we go, mid-season, Giannis, Milwaukee, oh man, Oklahoma City Thunder. I mean, if the NBA Cup, again, fell in the middle of the woods, does it make a noise? Does anyone care? Do we give a you-know-what about the NBA Cup? Because it's just another reason. The NBA Cup and all the nonsense the NBA is trying to do is another reason, it almost adds insult to injury on why these ratings are so bad. And I bet you if 10 people were to text in right now and I asked 9 people out of the 10, hey, who's playing tonight? You guys might just arbitrarily just let me know teams that are playing. And then you realize, oh, wait a second. No, it's an empty night, obviously, in the NBA. It's a full slate tomorrow. Nobody's following the game like they used to follow the game. They're not. Nobody knows that the Pistons are not that bad. Nobody knows that the Thunder already have 20 wins. Nobody knows that the Hornets and the Wizards are, well, at least the Wizards are historically bad. You know, the Celtics are one of the best teams in the NBA. The Nets just made a trade. Nobody's following the NBA like they used to follow the NBA. Why? Why not? What's going on with the league and the NBA that it's such a bad product? Is it because players are sitting? Players are hurt? It's a long season. It's not an interesting season. You got rest. You got load management. Isn't it incredible that some of your biggest stars in the league, as we speak, i.e., say, I don't know, Joel Embiid with the Philadelphia 76ers, George with the Philadelphia 76ers. These guys are constantly banged up. Constantly banged up. Is the product that bad? And look, if it's a Monday night or a Sunday night or a Thursday night and you have your pick of the litter, are you watching a horrible Thursday night football product? You're going to watch NHL? You're going to watch college hoops? You're going to watch the NBA? I bet you, again, I bet you that you can turn around if you're watching the NBA and you flip on to Thursday night football, you flip on to college basketball, you're not going back to the league. You're not going back to the association. And I get it. I'm seeing comments right now. So basketball, it's not everyone's cup of tea. It's not everyone's cup of tea. The NBA is not everyone's cup of tea. All I want to know is why. That's it. And we will get into the football talk. We will get into the NFL talk. Yes, I promise you, we will do the look ahead on a Wednesday on the drive. I promise you that. But why is the NBA Almost as though I look at it like this. I feel as though people watch the NHL more than the NBA. And that's saying something because no one ever talks NHL. Sorry, they don't. They don't, unless you're making a run to the Stanley Cup finals, right? Las Vegas, Tampa, Rangers, Chicago, teams like, and Philly, here and there, talking a little NHL. And the NBA players are making so much money. But did anyone watch what transpired last night? Does anyone care? I mean, this was set up, the in-season tournament, because, again, here's an opportunity, chase the championship, engage the fans in a new way. It's almost as though, do you guys watch? Remember when the Pro Bowl was the Pro Bowl, right? The NFL Pro Bowl actually meant something. If you go back 20 something odd years, the Pro Bowl was an event, man. And they were playing. And now it's flag football. The NBA All-Star game used to be a great weekend. And you guys know this, even if you're not the fanatical hoops fans that you once were. You'd be lying to yourself if you didn't say three-point shooting contest. If you didn't turn around and say, dunk contest, right? You guys would be lying. You guys would be lying. And why is that? Because you had all those stars back in the day. All those stars, even before the Kobes, the Vince Carter, the McGrady's, and you still had the Dominique. You still had the Michael Jordans. You had the Larry Nances. You had the Chambers. You had the Skywalkers. You had the Doctors. You had the guys in the dunk contest. It was a great weekend. And now the NBA is such a watered down product. And I don't know what's going on. I didn't watch last night. And I told you, I get into it in mid or so December, Christmas. And then I really follow the NBA. I love the NBA, but I'm wondering why the ratings are so bad. Why are you guys not watching the NBA? I mean, is it the quality of the product? Is it saturated? Is it watered down? Are these guys turning around? They're saying to themselves, load management. Load management. I don't know what it is. It's not like it was back in the day. It really wasn't like this. I mean, back in the day, the 80s, the 90s, early 2000s, everyone was enjoying the NBA. 727-858-6650. I'm assuming none of you guys watched it last night. And I can say this, the broadcasting partners, the rights, if you think about it, they have to be wondering right now, what the hell's going on? Like, why is this happening? What the hell is going on? The ratings are down 28% on ESPN through late November. The games are flat now on TNT. And again, are we talking about too many regular season games? No continuity. Players are changing teams, the super teams, this and that, the free agents, the trades, watered down products. 727-858-6650. Let's hear what you guys have to say. Apparently you guys don't like hoops. Apparently some of you guys don't like. Go ahead, rip them off, Angel. Good, bad, or indifferent. Rip them off. Enough with the NBA Cup talk. Trevor wants to get an NFL talk. He probably wants to talk about his Philadelphia Eagles, which we will. The man taking a little shot. Oh my goodness. How about this? I think just by Q discussing the NBA, I'm falling asleep. Do you guys not like the NBA? God, what do we got here? Trevor, NBA players are soft. NFL product is so superior. Well, no one's comparing the two. No one's comparing the two. We know the NFL is a behemoth, but the NFL is eventually going to go to 18 games. We know that. They're going to keep dragging the season out as long as possible. They'll cut preseason. The product will be watered down to some extent with the NFL, right? Trevor, NBA needs to hire the NFL script. No, you know what? Pull up Tim's comment. That's a good comment. Let's explore Tim chiming in. Let's see. What does Tim have to say? This is great, right? Timothy chiming in. No one watches you too. Yeah, but Tim, you just commented. You jackass. So you're obviously in the game and we appreciate that, Timmy boy. Keep it coming on this Wednesday. What does the man have to say? And then above the rim on TNT after the dunk contest was over. Yeah, why not? That's how it used to go back in the day. You guys were watching AI. You were watching Vince Carter. You were watching Kobe Bryant. But no one's watching it right now. And I'm thinking too, a lot of this has to do with the players being uh, minutes restriction, the load management. They don't want to play back to backs. I mean, look, Boston's a really good team. The Milwaukee Bucks are a really good team. The Cleveland Cavaliers were a great story. They raced out of the gate. They only have a couple losses. They're 23-4. OKC, good story. Memphis, 18 wins. Houston, 17 wins. These are good stories. And then obviously the teams that you need to be good in certain markets, the Knicks are not that bad, but the Sixers are struggling. We know that. Brooklyn's struggling. They're going to trade off pieces. And then you have the Drek of the NBA, Washington, New Orleans, the Utah Jazz, Portland struggling. But I think it goes further than that. I really do. Joey D chiming in PAQ. Always love the hoops talk. Appreciate it. As a Sixers fan, I can't watch the product. Guys are hurt every other night. I don't trust the head coach. And to your point, the NBA is not like it was 20 to 30 years ago. Yeah, you're right. It's not. It's not. I mean, you grew up, you had the Bulls, the Heat, the Pacers, the Knicks, the Pistons, and even the Lakers and the Celtics were going back and forth. I mean, in the 80s, the Lakers and the Celtics, every time you turn around the NBA Finals, those two teams were going at it. You had wall-to-wall Hall of Famers. We're not seeing that anymore. And it doesn't help when you have some of these head coaches talk about what they typically do, i.e. a Popovich. Bucks fan on Facebook chiming in. Q, I can't believe you're actually criticizing the NBA Cup. If it was your Knicks, you would be ecstatic. Get out of here. Like, I care. What am I going to celebrate? An in-season tournament? Are you kidding me? I don't care about that. I didn't even watch it last night. I'm in the majority. Nick chimes in. Q, honest question and honest thoughts here. Is it really just pointless? Do we really need this at all? Probably not. Why are we trying to reinvent the wheel and come up with something innovative? Again, history will rewrite itself. 15 to 25 years from now, is anyone going to remember that the Bucks won an in-season tournament, a second trophy? No. He's right. It is, when I look at this, there are really good players in the NBA, but I also believe the season is exceptionally long, especially when you count how long the playoffs can be, the postseason. You're pretty much finishing the NBA Finals in June. You turn around July, August, September, and they're going and breaking for camp in October. And it is definitely a watered down, saturated product, and nobody plays defense. Nobody plays defense whatsoever in the NBA, and that's another issue. So we'll continue with the NBA talk, 727-858-6650. We'll get your thoughts chiming in on that. Good, bad, or indifferent. We always appreciate you guys keeping us locked in on a Wednesday edition of The Drive with Q, SR 1029, The Game. Rich Quinones here. Angel Martinez behind the glass. We'll open up the text message board as well. Let me get to a couple more comments on the NBA Cup, and I promise you we will get into a lot of NFL talk. Week 16 already upon us. There's a lot of overblown lines. There's a lot of storylines. We got to dive into it. We got to get into it. Let me just scrub through with a couple of these comments right now. Q, did you see the joke on the Twitter handle NBA Central? Doc Rivers has basically told the Bucks he's going to start taking coaching seriously now. Yeah, I mean, again, you can't really get too excited at what's going on. You really can't. But I'll tell you, if you're a Sixers fan, you guys are probably going to be waxing poetic if you're winning the cup. If you're a Knicks fan, well, not me per se, or a Lakers fan, I mean, think about, LeBron was just so ecstatic about this kind of nonsense, right? Stevie Shorts on Facebook chimes in. Q, agree with you. The NBA Cup has absolutely zero aurora. It doesn't even count in the standings. Zero stakes that make a casual fan care. I think not. Probably going to be gone, changed dramatically within a few years if I were to be a betting man. I appreciate that. 727-858-6650. All right. As far as, and we'll keep those comments coming along on the NBA. As far as the NFL, and I have the lines already pulled up. It's one of these weekends in the NFL where the lines are going to continuously move. It's going to be one of these different, again, lines. I mean, you're going to see the movements. And all I'm saying is just really be careful because we're getting into now the ending of the season where players are hurt, players are banged up. You already see some head coaches on the hot seat. They're pretty much playing out the string. You already see the quarterback carousel. I mean, the line went, the Atlanta Falcons were sitting there thinking about, okay, Kirk Cousins is going to start against the Giants. And that line was right around 10, 10 and a half at open. It's dropped to 8 now that they're going to Penix. If you grab the Giants at 10 and a half, Godspeed, vaya con Dios. Drew Lock's going to be starting. Mahomes is banged up. A lot of these teams, the Lions have issues. Bradbury's going to be gone 6 to 8 weeks for the Philadelphia Eagles. So just kind of be wary of that. But I do want to make this point. We are now, listen, you got a couple more weeks and we close out the regular season. And we can keep going back and forth all we want about the NFL MVP. If you guys think it's Lamar Jackson, if you think it's Josh Allen, I saw a couple people that were tweeting at me, hey, look at Baker Mayfield's numbers. Yeah, well, Baker Mayfield's not Josh Allen. Again, it's more than just stats, guys. And it's not being critical of Baker Mayfield. You also have to think of this. If you're going to compare, it's almost apples and oranges because the Buffalo Bills are 11-3. And Tampa Bay is 8-6. Now, again, this is not to knock the season that Mayfield has had. You can put him in the conversation. I just don't think he's an MVP caliber quarterback. I don't. What is Saquon going to do the next couple of weeks? Is Jared Goff going to have this run where he's throwing for 400, 400, 400 and 4 touchdowns over the next, 3 weeks and accumulate another 12 and add that to his stats? I don't know. But I'll tell you this right now, because the league is such a week-to-week proposition, right? Because it's such a week-to-week proposition, let's say for argument's sake, the Philadelphia Eagles slip up this weekend against the Washington Commanders. The narrative, the conversation on Monday when we come on the air is going to be, well, you know what? The Eagles are a fraud. The Eagles got the scheduling. I don't want to hear about the injuries, but this shows you they never really played anyone really good or strong. Let's say the Bills stubbed their toe against the Patriots. The Bills basically, they peaked. Now, this is what the Bills typically do. They were 14, 15-point favorite. They lost to a horrible Patriots team. Can't trust Josh Allen. Can't trust the Bills, right? And on and on and on. The Packers losing to the Saints. Don't even think that way. Don't even think that way. Because, again, it is the NFL. Just because you lose that game in September, yeah, it might hurt you later on, but you're not the same team. Philadelphia Eagles are kicking themselves that they lost that game to Atlanta Falcons. That game, because it's a conference loss, might have cost them the top seed in the NFC. But the Eagles are not the same team that they were in September. Buffalo is not the same team that they were in September. Detroit, Kansas City, they're not the same teams that they were in those respective months. So don't get sucked into this, especially when you're looking at some of these lines are absolutely insane. They're absolutely insane. Your best bet is to start to look at these first half or second half lines because if it's a bad football team, they might hang around for a half. I gave you a couple of those picks last week, over the last several weeks. Moneyline, Vikings, laying 3 against Chicago. Listen, maybe Chicago hangs around, but Minnesota's going in the locker room with at least a 10-point lead. What do? They go in the locker room with a 10-point lead, then they pull away. Look at that if you're thinking about touching any of these games on Sunday, because the lines are absurd. Arizona on the road, 5-point favorite against a team in the Carolina Panthers that is playing a lot more tougher. Buffalo's laying 14. Hell, that can be a 31-13 game. And then, oh, by the way, Josh Allen is pulled after 30 of 35 for 296 and 3 scores. And the Pats just come up out of nowhere and get a backdoor touchdown. You're screwed. You're absolutely screwed. So that's something that you have to take in consideration when you're betting these games. Tampa on the road laying 4. I mean, the Packers at home laying 15 against the Saints. Are you kidding me? I mean, I know the Saints are bad. I know the Saints have quarterback problems. I know all that. but absolutely not. I am not touching some of these games. 727-858-6650. It is a week to week proposition, man. And some of the teams that are banged up right now, some of the teams that are dealing with some injuries, they are going to get a reality check. Now, I'm not going to sit here because I've been riding with Detroit pretty much all season long. And I've been pretty much steadfast with the Buffalo Bills. I still believe, even though Detroit slipped up against Buffalo, if I'm going to sit there and tell you Detroit was the best team in the NFL and Buffalo beats them, what does that make Buffalo? Buffalo is the best team, the most complete team right now in the NFL. I can make a case that perhaps the road through the NFC is going to go through the Philadelphia Eagles. And I know the Eagles fans, they love hearing this. They really do because they think it pains me to say it, but you have to be realistic here. The Philadelphia Eagles will go as far as number 26 takes them. That's it in a nutshell. That is it in a nutshell. As long as they got that offensive line and Jalen Hurts does not make the back-breaking mistake, the Philadelphia Eagles will ride Saquon Barkley. This is why you're going to see if they've got certain things locked up, 2,000 yards, be damned. Another 432, be damned. You might use him 15 carries, 16, 17 carries. My concern, if I were to give you the 5 strong teams right now in the NFL, and I want you guys to chime in, 727-858-6650. Let's just go by this because I really want to get your insight on this. I'm curious to get your insight and your opinions. If we said Buffalo, Kansas City, Philly, Detroit, which is 4. See, I'm not sold with any team out of the West or the South. And let's throw Baltimore. So you have Buffalo, Baltimore, and I'm sorry, Pittsburgh, I can't do it. Buffalo, Baltimore, Kansas City is 3, Philly, Green Bay, and Detroit. And if you want to throw Minnesota, okay, fine. Now we're talking 6, 7 teams. What are their weaknesses? Like, what are their weaknesses? I can't put Pittsburgh. I'm sorry, Vince. I can't. Yeah, the ball's on me. Yeah, but you're tuning in, Vince. I don't know what to tell you. I can't put Pittsburgh there because I don't trust them. Madman called it last week. He said you can't trust the Pittsburgh Steelers. You can't. You're a Steelers fan. Was that more about the Steelers or the Eagles? I think, listen, you're not going to like what I have to say about your Pittsburgh Steelers right now. But I think the Pittsburgh Steelers, they might lose out. They've got the Ravens, the Chiefs, and Cincinnati. So that great start, they might finish 10-7. They might not even make the playoffs. I'm sorry. I know you don't want to hear that, even though they made the playoffs. You know I'm breaking your balls right now, but they might not even win a division. It's not even that I haven't liked the Steelers. I killed Russ last year. You put him in a good offense. I didn't like the move by Tomlin. It paid off. But I say tongue-in-cheek, your Steelers will be playoff bound. Are they going to win a division? Can you trust Russ Wilson Tomlin to go on the road in Buffalo and beat the Bills? I can't. So to not be sensitive to Vince, if you throw Pittsburgh in there, I gave you 6 teams. All 6 are flawed, man. All 6 are flawed. Kansas City right now is dealing with Patrick Mahomes. Then you get the reports that Travis Kelce is talking about one last run. He's, maybe the talk is retiring after the season. So now you got to deal with that stupid distraction. The Baltimore Ravens, if you shut down Lamar and you shut down that ground game, they're pretty much done, especially if you shut down Derrick Henry. The Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen is the MVP. Josh Allen's the best player of football. I don't trust the head coach late. The Philadelphia Eagles, their offense is notoriously a slow starter. And if you stack everyone in the box and you dare them to throw, is Jalen Hurts capable of getting it done? Minnesota, Sam Darnold, and we leave it at that. And I'm a big Sam Darnold fan. And I think that head coach arguably is the coach of the year. But can Darnold lead the Minnesota Vikings? Can they go on the road in a hostile environment and win a playoff game? Detroit, the injuries, enough said. I mean, all these teams right now are battling something. It is, and I feel like we have this conversation every single solitary year. 727-858-6650. Pull up some of these comments. I'm not trying to give anyone a aneurysm. I'm not. I mean, where are we getting with some of these comments right now? Never liked the steel curtain. What are you talking about? Never liked the steel curtain. We talking about in the 70s? You want me to have an aneurysm today? I mean, I butcher that just like I do a yucca plant. Q just setting it up for the Steelers to fall. The Mad Giants fan taking it out on the Steel Town. What did they drink in Pittsburgh? What did they have? That Schlitz? What was that? Paps? Yeah, right. Schlitz. Is that what it is? Bah humbug. Why am I bah humbug? I'm just telling you what I think. You guys said it the other day. You guys chimed in on Monday. Get off my lawn. Get the hell out of here, Joey. Hey, Joey, do me a favor. Why don't you lay 16 this weekend? Or I'm sorry, lay the 8. Go ahead, Joey. Go ahead, Joey. You going to go Giants money line? Are you? Giants money line against the Falcons? Oh, what do we got? Whoa, did you see that? Do we have a we don't know if we're going to let him back. All right, Mick, what's going on? Wow, how about Mick chiming in? We haven't heard from him in weeks. What Trevor fired up right there? NFL writers are recycling the script. Darnold will be like Case Keenum in 2017. Hey, took him to the NFC Championship game, man, right? He took them to the NFC Championship game. And by the way, I like Sam Darnold. I mean, you can make case Sam Darnold's comeback player of the year. 100%. It is no team is, yeah, a plus 16. What's the money line on that? No team is without flaws, is my point. No team is. Every team, I don't care what the sport is. You go throughout the history of all these sports. I was having this conversation with my buddy the other day because he posted that. He said that Magic Johnson was trash. Well, I won't even say who. I say it was Brandon Jacobs. Brandon Jacobs posted the other day that Magic Johnson was trash, and I was like, "B, you're killing me. What is this nonsense?" And he goes, "I don't like his game." I said, "You got to do better than that. You don't like his game because he's comparing his game to today's game." And in the NBA, it's a different. You're talking about a 6'9" point guard who played 5 positions in a game 6 in a closeout game in the NBA Finals against the Sixers, and he had 42 points and hauled down 19 rebounds. So the argument, well, you're playing with these wall-to-wall Hall of Famers, is just, I don't want to hear that nonsense. Okay, the reason I bring it up, Gas Pump Guy, what's up, brother? Appreciate you always chiming in and tuning in. The reason I bring it up is this, because all great teams in every sport, they do have a little bit of a flaw. They all do. They all do. Maybe they're not strong on one side of the football. Maybe they don't have a great bullpen. Maybe they don't have great starters. Maybe 1 through 9 is not the best lineup. But they play great at the most critical juncture. They play great when they need to play great. And my friend brought this up, and it's a fascinating point, and he is 100% accurate. Everyone thinks that Kansas City is lucky, the Kansas City Chiefs, because of how they win some of these games. And there's a reason you get to a Super Bowl. There's a reason you win a Super Bowl. There's a reason, hell, that you get back to a Super Bowl and win it again. There's a reason you're poised to go back to another Super Bowl, back to back to back, unheard of. Kansas City is not a lucky team. They're not. And the point was this. It shows you how great they are because no matter what, they find a way to win. You want to say, well, sometimes they get bailed out by the officials. What team doesn't in the NFL? What team doesn't? I mean, hell, Vince is a Steelers fan. You want to go old school and go to the championship game? And was it 77, 78? Mel Renfro in the back of the end zone for Houston. Everyone knows he came down with the ball and he had both feet in. It was right before the advent of instant replay. Everyone talks about the tuck game, the tuck rule. I mean, listen, Every team gets bailed out once in a while. You have to be a little lucky. You have to. Trevor brought up Case Keenum. What was that? The Minneapolis Miracle? When the Saints defender, for some inexplicable reason, went low and took a horrible angle? You want to call it luck? Okay, but they took advantage of it. They had to be great at that moment. Kansas City, when they need to make a play, when they have to be great, they're great. They're not lucky. You have to have a little bit of it on your way to get into a Super Bowl, winning divisions. And that's how I look at this year's NFL. I really do. I look at this year's NFL. Like, look at these teams, man. Is it just that the football gods are going to smile on the Detroit Lions? Or are they going to smile on the Buffalo Bills because they've never won a championship? They've never won a Super Bowl, I should say. Are they going to look at Josh Allen and say, this is your time? Or do you have to go out and take it? Do you have to go out and earn it? Detroit, you never been there. We feel bad for you, Motor City. All these injuries. Nobody cares, man. But when the Lions are going to be backed against the wall and they have to be great, they're going to be great. They've shown it. They can take shots. They can take punches. But all those teams I mentioned, they're flawed. They're flawed. You can go on the road. You can beat Green Bay on the road. You can go to Minnesota and beat them on the road. We've seen you can go mano a mano against Detroit. I believe that the Green Bay Packers can go on the road and beat the Philadelphia Eagles in Philly. I do. This is not a bias against the Philadelphia Eagles. This is not the hatred towards the Philadelphia Eagles. I think the Packers run the football. They have an athletic quarterback. They have a hell of a coach. They have a really good defense, and they're young, and they don't know any better. Can Minnesota go on the road and beat Philly? I don't think so. But can Philly beat Minnesota at home? Minnesota might have a puncher's chance. I don't see Tampa making a lot of noise. I just don't. I think Baker Mayfield's a great story, but their weakness, their flaw, sometimes is the quarterback. Are the Rams going to scare you? The Eagles clocked the Rams. The teams I'm looking at right now, Detroit's, they're so banged up and injured that thank God they raced out to 12-2. Minnesota's won 7 in a row, but we're not talking about Minnesota. No one's talking about Sam Darnold. No one's talking about Jefferson. No one's talking about that head coach who you can make a strong case, coach of the year. No one's talking about their offense, oh, by the way, which is one of the best in the NFL, next to Detroit, next to the Philadelphia Eagles. This shows you the difference. When you look at the NFC right now, Philly, Detroit, Minnesota, plus 120, plus 177, plus 117. And then you look at Tampa Bay, plus 70. Pardon me, the Rams, I'm choking over here because I'm looking at these stats. The Rams are minus 28. Minus 28. Got to have the fresh roasted coffee. This is the perfect time, by the way. See, Angel, if he's worth his salt, sees that I'm choking on my fresh roasted coffee, knows that we have to hit a timeout, but where is he? Nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. I'll read off some of the comments. Man says Philly's going to trounce Minnesota. Joey turns around. Q versus Tampa Bay. Where's I don't know where he is. There's no mini window. Immaculate reception wasn't a catch. The mini window, nowhere to be found. That's alarming. I have no idea what's going on right now. Angel is 20%. I don't know, but we'll keep it here. 727-858-6650. So right now, I ask you guys this. Give me the best team out of the NFC and why. Give me the best team out of the AFC and why. Right now, be objective. Best team in the NFC at this moment, best team in the AFC at this moment, and why? Because as I mentioned, all these teams got flaws, man. All these teams, there's no more home field advantage in the NFL. There isn't. This notion there's home field advantage and it's going to be really hard for you to go on the road and beat team A, B, and C. It doesn't exist. Does not exist. Mickey, you're right. That's a great comment. Angel, I'm going to wait for you. Can we get the window? Can you pop up and join the show for a moment? Because there's a lot of there's very questionable stuff going on at this moment. Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So I was just choking for a moment on my fresh roast of coffee. Now, if you can see by the comments, people want to know, where were you?
Hold on.
Hold on. Either you were summoned by producer extraordinaire. That's number one. That's the only acceptable answer.
And that's exactly what it was.
Then we leave it at that.
Good. I mean, there's other things that happen. Unfortunately, it takes me away a little bit from the screen time over here. So, and then the other shows that come up afterwards, and then people have 50,000 questions. When do they want to ask them? Oh, when people are on live. That's what ends up happening. By the way, Gas from Guy's got a couple comments that came in since you're. He said, "Hey, take it easy on Angel." I don't know what happened there, but Bucks, because they are starting to get hot at the right time and they have good players and stats to prove it.
Does he think Baker Mayfield's the MVP? That's the question. Come on. The Bucks are not beating Green Bay. They're not beating Detroit. I don't even know if the Bucks are going to beat Minnesota. And they're certainly not beating the Eagles. They're not. And I don't care about earlier in the season. I don't. Are you looking at this is what I'm saying. The comments are ridiculous. Go ahead, rip them off. 727-858-6650. You can go right down the line with this nonsense.
All right, hold on, because we got Jerry from Rhode Island. Bills have to be there, even though they will do something to kill their chances to go all the way.
But see, hold on. Let's. I'm curious. Here's my retort for Jerry in Rhode Island. I think the Bills are the most complete team right now, and I think Allen's the MVP. We already know that. He's a Bills fan. Is he more concerned about the head coach though? See, that's your bugaboo. There's your weakness. It's McDermott. I don't trust McDermott if I'm a Bills fan. So if he chimes in with that, let me know, and then you can keep going the comments. A lot of people think funny business was going on in Studio B.
All right. Well, Gasboom guy comes back and says the Bucks have already beaten Detroit, and Baker has almost the same stats as Josh Allen. Come on.
I know he does. I get it. He does. And no one's taken away what Baker has done, but they're also 8-6 in a soft division. Now, your response is going to be like, wait a second, look at the AFC East. What Allen is doing is on another level. And maybe it's because there's a bias because they're on the national stage more than Tampa Bay. Should Baker get consideration? Yeah, I think that's fair. But I'm not going to sit there and tell you that Baker Mayfield is just as good or better than Josh Allen. I'd be foolish to say that. Who do you trust more in the big spot? Baker Mayfield or Josh Allen going 80 yards with 2 timeouts and down 6? You got to say Josh Allen, do you not? I mean, you could chime in. Am I alone in this world? You could chime in.
No, I was waiting for to see if Guess what guy's going to reply back because then I would insert the comment. But listen, he's got numbers close to Josh Allen, so I trust when I tell you that I understand Guess what guys thinking. Okay, let's put it this way. I said in my show this morning, what if, let's just say, and I don't see it happen, but let's just say hypothetically, Josh Allen, for whatever odd reason, just tanks the final 3 games. Is he still in the MVP status?
Wait.
Just hypothetical. I'm just saying they blow games by dumb leads, like dumb mistakes.
Okay, they blow games, but does he average 288 and he throws another 12 touchdown passes? They are. I don't even know how to respond.
It's a hypothetical. That's all.
What do we talk about? Okay, hypothetically, Buffalo goes out and they lose to New England, they lose to the Jets, and they lose to the Patriots again.
Oh, craps. All right, you know what? Take it away. Take it away. I forgot who they were playing. All right, scratch that from the record.
Look,
Let the record show.
See, what you guys want me to say is basically, or you're trying to convince me that, again, these guys play. No one can play at a ridiculously high level for 17, 18 weeks. You're going to have a drop-off. Jared Goff threw 4 interceptions, then came back and threw 4 touchdown passes.
Right.
Allen will have that moment. Baker has had his moment, and Baker puts up numbers. Lamar Jackson had a couple bad weeks, and then all of a sudden, He throws 4 or 5 touchdown passes and he adds a couple more on the ground. You can't play. No team, no players can play at that level for 17, 18 weeks. Even the Patriots in 2007 leaked oil. The 85 Bears lost on Monday night to Miami. Like, teams cannot, you just can't. So you're saying, well, what if Josh Allen comes? Okay, if he comes back down to earth, he does. And maybe if Josh Allen comes back down to earth and Lamar has a run of 2 or 3 games, maybe we say, okay, now Lamar. This tells you what the odds makers think. And this is why I hate that some of these writers have a say. It bothers me because there's always this, they want to push their own narrative, right? The other day, you guys were like, Q, you're off base. Lamar Jackson has closed the gap. Okay, fine. I'm not going to argue that. But if Detroit, that's banged up, if they rip off 3 more wins and pretty much have everything locked up, and Jared Goff throws for 1,200 yards in 3 games and 9 touchdowns, and they only lose, 2 games this season, can you make the argument for Jared Goff? That's why I'm saying it's you guys want me to sit there and tell you that, well, there's other quarterbacks in the NFL that are. I'm not saying they're not. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm trying to convey is that at this moment, and pretty much all the big spots, the big moments, Josh Allen has risen to the occasion. And he's backed that up with his play. He's been on a ridiculous pace. He really has. And the funny thing is, a couple weeks ago, I would have said Joe Burrow if Cincinnati's defense didn't stink. Why not Joe Burrow? Well, they're not a good football team. What Allen is doing this season is it's really remarkable, man. It really is. I mean, he's doing it with his legs. He's doing it with his arms. I mean, it's this guy, look at these numbers: 362, 342, 262, 280, 263, 323, 263, 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns. Rushing, touchdown. It's just his year. That's all I'm saying. It's just his year. And it's not taking away from what Lamar's doing in Baltimore. It's not taking away what Saquon's doing in Philly. It's not taking away what Baker Mayfield is doing in Tampa. I think Baker Mayfield is a great story. Baker Mayfield, hey, in hindsight, I would love to have Baker Mayfield under center for the Giants. Baker Mayfield was a cast-off, and now he's found a home in Tampa. And now you get Evans healthy. They can run the football. Head coach at times. We know about the defense. It's just, I don't look at that division. And I look at, I think the AFC, you got to go through Baltimore. You got to go through Kansas City, maybe Pittsburgh. There you go, Vince. The NFC, everyone thinks for some reason Detroit's a fraud. I feel as though everyone believes Detroit's a fraud. I believe everyone thinks Sam Darnold in Minnesota is a fraud. I believe everyone looks at Green Bay and they're like, we don't trust Jordan Love. Nah, they're not that good. So that leaves what team?
The Eagles.
There you go.
I don't think they're a fraud either by any means.
I'm not, but correct.
No, I understand what you're saying.
My point is, I feel as though Detroit's so banged up. Minnesota, everyone's waiting for the other shoe to drop with Sam Darnold. Detroit has all these injuries at the worst possible time. And Green Bay's, little Green Bay, Jordan Love, and a couple wide receivers. And then you got the big bad Eagles. Great defense, great offensive line, MVP caliber player in Saquon Barkley. You believe a franchise quarterback in Jalen Hurts. Very good tight end, excellent wide receivers, and a clown head coach that if he just stays out of the way, they're going to win some football games. Do you think the Eagles, you stick the Eagles in the AFC, they're going to be able to go on the road and beat Buffalo or Kansas City or Baltimore? I don't.
I would prefer for the Eagles to, if they're going to make the run to Super Bowl, I would prefer for them to do it on the road than at home. I think it'd be more challenging for them in order to set them up for the Super Bowl
Oh,
versus
it
being
always is. It always is to go on the road, but home field advantage, Angel, is not like it used to be in the NFL.
right. That's what I mean.
It's not. I mean, the whole adage, well, Tampa Bay can't win in 20 degree. Well, tell that to Joe Jurevicius and Rondé Barber.
Yep.
They closed out the friggin' vet. Barber's still running in the parking lot. I mean, those days are long gone, man. In an NFC or AFC championship game, it's one series, one bounce of the ball. Anything could happen. But my point was to come around. My point is this. The AFC is a tougher conference than the NFC. Now, that's just my opinion. I mean, you look at the quarterback play in the AFC. Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert. You got some really good quarterbacks in the AFC. That's another thing you got to factor in when you're looking at Josh Allen. You know, the conference, you know, the competitiveness, the other quarterbacks in the conference. Again, not an indictment on Hurts, not an indictment on Baker Mayfield, not an indictment on Jordan Love, not an indictment on those other guys. It's Allen's season. It's his year. It just shapes up where it's his time. Now, if he wins the MVP and they lose in the divisional round, the MVP to him means nothing. It's going to be nothing to Bills Mafia. But if he takes them on this historical, magical ride and they win the Super Bowl, are you kidding? I mean, this guy's never going to pay for wings and beer ever again in his life.
Yeah, like Kelsey.
They'll make a statue. And I think it's setting up where they have the juice, they have the momentum, and now you got Kansas City with Mahomes being a little iffy. That's going to be, if they play in the AFC Championship, that's going to be a hell of a championship game. And listen, I would love to see the Eagles go to Detroit to play the Lions. I really would. I think that would be a fascinating game because you have two head coaches that if it's 3rd and 7 and they run the friggin' football and pick up a couple yards, they're going for it on 4th down. It doesn't matter where you're at. I think that would be a fascinating game. I think that would be a high-scoring game. It'd be a fun game to watch. Probably set that over about 53, 54. But the Lions are a wounded animal right now. There's no guarantee. They're limping into the playoffs at the worst time. Take the teams that are starting to get hot and the teams that are on a ridiculous run. And I know the Bills stubbed their toe, but I still look at that's all on friggin' Sean McDermott. They've had an outstanding season. The Philadelphia Eagles have won 10 games in a row. 10 games. Do you know how hard it is to win 3 or 4 games in an NFL season in a row? They've won 10. And now you're taking on a Washington team that's desperate. Washington is 9-5 and they're leaking oil. Washington's like, the playoffs are right there. All we need to do is get to 10, 11 wins, and they're in. It's a huge game. And if Washington knocks off the Philadelphia Eagles, again, it hurts their chances to get what? That top seed where you lose home field advantage. 727-858-6650.
All right, hang on, because got some guys going at it here, but hold on. Jerry from Rhode Island once again says, I'm a Pats fan, but definitely the Bills coaching is responsible for a few F-ups.
100% when Sean McDermott decided to go for the tush push instead of throw the football late, and you have to burn that time out. Agree.
All right. Here's the one from GBG. So first, and I'm going to read them both here. Q, did you watch the game? When Baker went down the field with like 50 seconds left and scored a touchdown, come on. Then the next one is, so Q, let me ask you, if Baker was in a different division, would he be MVP with the same numbers that he is now?
No. Okay. Again, I don't know how many times I have to say this. I'm a huge Baker Mayfield fan. But Tampa Bay is also a team that is 8-6. And to your point, they play in just as shitty a division right now as the Bills do. Okay? That's number one. And they lost Evans for a little bit. But again, you've got Evans. You've got a great running back. I'm going to ask you one more time. If you look at the Buffalo Bills and be fair and be objective and look at who they have, they're not going to have a running back that's going to sniff 1,000 yards. Maybe Cook gets 1,000, okay? And then your best wide receiver is the young kid, Shakir. He's not Mike Evans. You know, the tight end so-so. I mean, now we're sitting here saying, okay, apples and oranges. We're looking at both sides of the football. Baker will get a vote or two. But the narrative, the national sentiment, because Josh Allen and Bills have played on big-time games and big-time moments, Josh Allen basically solidified the MVP in 2 straight weeks. He solidified the MVP. He did what Cam Newton did years ago. When they were up big on the Giants came back, and then Cam Newton converts a 3rd and 15 and scrambles for 18 yards. He solidified his MVP right there. Now, they went 15-1, and they didn't win anything. But Josh Allen, you turn around, you see exactly what he did against the Detroit Lions. 23 of 34, 362, 2 touchdowns via the air, and then he ran for 2. He's got 11 rushing touchdowns. He's got 26 passing touchdowns. What hurts Baker, if we're really being honest, and you guys know exactly where I'm going with this, and you probably don't want to hear it. How many interceptions does Baker Mayfield have this year? They look at Baker Mayfield, and what hurts him, what ruins some of his breathtaking, great, gritty moments, they sit there and say, guy's got 14 picks. Josh Allen has 5. Here ends the lesson, folks. I'm sorry, GPG. That's it. That's all she wrote. The narrative is when push comes to shove, Baker's not going to get the job done. That's the narrative. That's how people look and perceive some of these quarterbacks in the NFL. Mayfield is a great story. He's a gamer. I would love to have a Baker Mayfield under center for the Giants. The way he's just got the juice. He's got swag to him. He's got guts. He plays with heart and passion, and I love that. Allen just makes the friggin' play. Hey, man, we need 16. I'll get you 17.
You know
we
what?
need 19. I'll get you 19. We need 80-yard drive. Boom. The knock on somebody's got, it's just a narrative. And I don't agree with it. Let me just say that. I don't agree with it. But that's what writers and some of these goofballs that vote, they're going to look at the vision. They're going to look at the turnovers. They're going to look at it in a big spot. They're also going to say, hey, what teams were highlighted the most this year? I mean, you don't think there's a reason they flex these certain games? You don't think there's a reason why some of these teams like the Buffalo Bills or the Eagles or Dallas back in the day or Pittsburgh or Baltimore or Kansas City, they're in prime time, they want to showcase these guys, man.
I think Minnesota too, if I remember correctly, they were pissed because they got flexed over to Eagles or the Eagles. Yeah, that was one. Yeah. And then the other thing I was thinking, just again, when I talked about it on my show this morning, would you be more upset as a Giants fan? Because
I don't think I can get any more upset, but go ahead.
Well, your team and the Raiders, your team and the Raiders have the equal record. But let's just say if the Raiders decide they want to keep losing so they can be on track with you guys for that number 1 pick.
Well, I think so. Dion basically came out today and said Shakur Sanders is going to be the top number 1. He's going number 1. And he said that the Giants are going to grab him. Well, again, the Giants and the Raiders are both 2-12. I mean, it's ridiculous. The Giants have lost 9 in a row. The Raiders have lost 10. The Giants are going back to Drew Lock. It makes me shiver, but if there was a week that I think the Giants actually have a shot at winning a game to ruin my effing year, it's this week. Because Atlanta's starting Michael Penix. They bench Kirk Cousins. Yeah. Now the Giants are going to go back to Drew Lock. I actually would say, hey, go to Timmy Boyle. Let Timmy cook. I mean, he actually threw it the other day. If the Giants win another game, I'm going to be pissed because most likely that'll drop them to number 2. But going back to my conversation yesterday with you guys and the back and forth in the debate, if I had my wish, if I'm at 1 with the Giants, it's either Hunter Ward or would I prefer you trade to pick? I said this. You get assets. The Giants are not a quarterback away. So Sanders, Ward, it doesn't matter. They're not a quarterback away. You trade that pick and you build. And they have so much pressure. And the report now that Mara wants to keep Joe Shane and fire Brian Daboll is just, you can't justify keeping either of them. But if you fire the GM, he's going to want to bring in a head coach. They want to collaborate. The draft's right around April. So you guys were making fun of me yesterday, calling me out saying, well, because you fear what John Mara is going to do. The hell I do. I don't fear a man, but I fear John Mara in this regard, because if he keeps Joe Shane, I have no confidence that Joe Shane is going to turn around and draft the right player or make the right decision for the franchise. And if you bring in another head coach and you have a rookie quarterback, I'm going to implement what? My system. So it's another 2 to 3 years of just sucking. Hence, trade the pick, get a bridge quarterback, and then go from there. So to answer your question, and I'm sorry I was long-winded, the Giants, if they win on Sunday, I will be furious. The other day I'm watching again, I'm like, what are you doing? Don't catch it. I'm like, what are you doing? Drop it. And that's horrible. You're talking about, I've been a Giant fan since I was a kid. I met Phil Simms as a kid. I went to games with my father. I watched hundreds of games. I used to cover the Giants. I used to cover the NFC East. Now, I had to be objective about it, but as a fan, it pains me to watch how bad the product is. It's horrible. Hence, on a Sunday. And now because it's getting freaking cold, I got the friggin' pup, got to deal with her. No fish are biting. The Giants are losing by 20. Got a lot of shit going on, Angel. I got a lot of nonsense going on a Sunday to deal with this. I got the Eagles winning. I mean, the Giants go 3-13 a couple years ago, one of the worst seasons in franchise history. And what do the friggin' Eagles do? Right to the Super Bowl and win it. I mean, that was just devastating. And then I was on the radio and I had to listen to all these friggin' fans call up and just blast me and troll me and heckle me. And I took it and I laughed. But, what's happening this year? Their worst season in 100 years. And here come the Eagles. And that effing head coach and that stupid security guard and all the other stuff of the shaking the head and all this. I just get out of here with that nonsense. If the Eagles win the Super Bowl, that's it. I'm done. That's it. You will be sitting down with Debbie one morning and you will have your coffee and you'll have your cornflakes, your Cheerios, your Lucky Charms, and you'll flip over the cart and it'll say MIA.
Well, or I'll find you on a fresh roasted coffee bag with the MIA.
Hey, let me remind everyone, by the way, holidays are right around the corner. BYP20 is your promo code. Link in the show notes. I don't want them to win. Lose. Go 2-15. If you are going to keep the head coach and you're going to keep the GM, again, figure it out. Because it's not fair to fans that have to purchase PSL. When you're a fan of a bad franchise,
right,
and you put all your energy into the season, the football season, you get a couple Sundays, man. I don't care if they lose. They're not even competitive. And it's very hard for anyone to justify any franchise, under any ownership of retaining the head coach and a GM when you play as poorly as they've had. I'll tell you this in closing. So I'll pull up the Raiders last. And yeah, I was triggered. Thank you very much. The Raiders have, I might be on luck. The Raiders have Jacksonville, the Saints, and the Chargers. So perfect scenario. I think they can win one or two of those games. And let me see where the Chargers are. The Chargers are sitting at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The Chargers will need that game. The Raiders are going to win one more game or two more games. But my fear is that the Giants actually win on Sunday, and I will be very angry coming on the air on Monday. It will not be a very pleasant holiday season for me. I can just tell you that right now.
There's a comment I want to bring up from 25 minutes ago, which I was laughing about originally.
Yeah.
Was when X-Man put Angel is exchanging 20s for ones, which that's what made me giggle as went on with other things. And I mean, there's obviously a boatload that followed afterwards. And the reason why I brought it up was because I was thinking about because they mentioned Drew Lock going back as a QB.
Yeah.
Then I thought, well, the Raiders look at it like, if we lose, we get Shador because the Giants are going to want to win just because of what the Atlanta's doing. I hope not, because I prefer for the Giants to get. I can't believe I'm saying this as an Eagles fan, but I prefer for them to get a better pick over the Raiders, because who knows? Antonio Pierce might even be there next year.
No, he's gone. He's gone. Pierce is gone. I think Mayo's gone in New England. And I still maintain this. I think the Giants are going to fire Daboll. And for some reason, I think they're going to keep Joe Shane, because the last thing they want to do is bring in another GM. It's easier to bring in a head coach than a GM. It really is. I mean,
how long has she been there?
It's been 3 years now with Joe Shane and Brian Daboll.
Right?
They made the playoffs the first year. They made the playoffs. Then last year, debacle. And now this year. It's not. See, thank you. It's not the end of the world. The Giants get 2 or 3 and they get Cam Ward or they get Hunter.
Who else is...
People, when I say this, they think I'm hating on Sanders. I'm not. All I see is the Giants drafting Sanders and just his brother going on Twitter, having to deal with Dion, being a circus. Cam Ward basically said, I'm going to live in North Jersey. I'm not even going to have to deal with New York and distractions. I want to hear that. Or trade the pick and build from there and suck next year, as the madman has said to me many a time, get Arch Manning, whatever. It's just the bottom line is they played horrible football in the last 10 years. And I can't take it anymore. I just can't. I can't. It's bad football. It's not enjoyable. It's not. You lose games by 15, 20, 30 points. Come on, man. Yeah. You know, you're talking about all this drone nonsense, right, from the other day. I can tell you right now, the one place a drone's not landing, in Giant Stadium. You want to know why? Because no one scores any touchdowns there. So there's no drone touching down in MetLife. All right, we got Jay Show coming up, right?
Yeah, we have that coming up.
All right, I don't want to hold him because it's 6 o'clock. What do we got? 30 seconds to close it out. No NBA. And you guys were really friggin' engaged in the NBA content today. Thanks, I appreciate it. I mean, 15 minutes in, I'm giving some good stuff on the NBA and the ratings. All of a sudden, boom, 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 right? Don't even think about showing that comment. I feel as though the madman always comes in and he wants that punch in the gut. Go ahead, rip it up. You fired off there. Go ahead. Chiefs won 2 Super Bowls in between Danny Dimes' home touchdown passes. Well, you know what? When Darnold gets hurt in the NFC Championship and Dimes steps in and leads them 80 yards in the link to go to the Super Bowl. Ooh, mama. I'm on Monday and be like this. Hey, Mickey, how about you get out? How about that? 6 o'clock. What time did we say mixed nap time is usually? 4-ish? I'm surprised he held this long.
It's funny though, because we haven't heard from him from a while, and then here he comes.
Now he says, "Get out, Rich. Get out now." I mean, Mickey, it's nap time. Come on, man. The weather's changing a little bit. Have a little insurance. Call today. 727-858-6650. All right, Jay's coming up. B's World. Keep it locked in. We will be on tomorrow because obviously Angel will be doing some traveling on Friday. Oh, and I forgot. We'll do the announcement tomorrow. We keep pushing.
Well, I mean, what else can we freaking do at this point? Plus,
the hour goes fast until we start to talk about what we have lined up.
As Madman said yesterday, it will be the longest one in FCC history.
Hey, listen, all I can say is this. I got some good text messages again for the NBA talk. And now, you know, Mickey, I gotta love you because obviously, you know, you love to just hate me, but you're tuning in. I mean, what are we doing here, Mick? What are we doing here? We freaking go again Thursday tomorrow. We'll talk, by the way, a lot more with the NFL lines. There's a pretty unique app. We're going to spend a couple minutes on that. Sorry, guys. We're going to talk a little NFL betting app as well. And as always, the madman leaves us with his Gentleman Club's joke of the day on this Wednesday edition of The Drive.
I knew it was coming.
with Q. All right, listen, we gotta get to Beef's show. That's got to give him his time. Angel on Behind the Glass. Don't forget to download the app. Follow us on social media. We will talk to you as always tomorrow. Have a good Sports Wednesday. Be safe, be sound. Hasta luego, buen día.